Hello, welcome back to the Breaking News Update. My name is Jimmy Boyd, and you were watching Boyd News. I want to thank you so much for tuning in today. I've got a breaking news report coming out from the United Kingdom to share with all of you. And we knew just this morning Volodymyr Zelensky, the president of Ukraine, arrived in the UK to meet with their prime minister, Keir Starmer. And huge news today. Take a look at your screen. UK supplies Ukraine with $2.8 billion loan backed by Russian assets. The UK and Ukraine on Saturday signed a loan agreement worth 2.26 billion pounds, which is also $2.8 billion, to support Ukraine's defense capabilities, known as a sign of our unwavering and ongoing support for the Ukrainian people. Okay, so huge loan being given to Ukraine today. Now, this will be a loan that will be backed by frozen Russian assets sitting across banks in Europe. And I'm assuming Ukraine will have to pay this back at one point, but nonetheless, a very big loan being given to Ukraine today, okay? $2.8 billion. So the video footage that you're watching here was a meeting between the country's two finance ministers, Rachel Reeves, who is the woman holding up the papers here that they signed for this agreement. And she met with Sergei Marchenko, who's also another finance minister. And you also have Volodymyr Zelensky and the Prime Minister Keir Starmer there as they hold this little virtual ceremony to talk about this money being given to Ukraine. Okay, so I want to talk about this loan that's given to Ukraine and then stick to the end of this video because I have a huge update also as tomorrow. The other reason why Zelensky is here is because we're going to be having a major European summit in the UK tomorrow. And we should be having very big updates coming out from there. Unfortunately, I will not be here tomorrow as Sunday's my normal day off each week. But once we get back on Monday, I'll try to give you guys as much information coming out from this conference tomorrow. So let's go ahead and jump into this on the Kyiv Independent. This says UK to provide a 2.8 billion loan to Ukraine backed by frozen Russian assets. This is coming out today, March 1st, 2025. Here's a photo of Volodymyr Zelensky here, Keir Starmer. And then also, we have Rachel Reeves here, okay, one of their finance ministers. And it says here, the United Kingdom signed an agreement with Kyiv on March 1st to provide Ukraine with a loan worth 2.26 billion pounds or $2.84 billion, backed by frozen Russian assets. The loan, which is part of the Group of Seven's G7 Extraordinary Revenue Acceleration or ERA credit initiative, was signed amid President Volodymyr Zelensky's visit to London to meet with UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer. The United Kingdom continues to stand in defense of Ukraine. Today's agreement, which contributes to strengthening Ukraine's defense capabilities, confirms this, Ukraine's Finance Minister Serhiy Marchenko said in a statement. The loan will go towards purchasing defense equipment according to Ukraine's needs, the finance ministry said. Okay, so it's going to go directly to Ukraine's fight against Russia, purchasing whatever defense equipment they need to continue the war, okay? So there's more information here that talks about the G7 loan that was already approved back in October, the 50 billion that US is supposed to be partly putting their share in, and then along with European nations. Also talks about the frozen Russian assets, but I want to show you guys this down here, and it says the loans announcement and Zelensky's visit to London comes amid the fallout of a heated exchange in the White House on February 28th between Zelensky and U.S. President Donald Trump. Yeah, I reported to you guys this morning, Zelensky left the U.S. just hours after this horrible heated exchange argument between Donald Trump, Zelensky, and also J.D. Vance. We talked about that multiple times already. A very terrible conference that was being held between the three just did not go good, and Zelensky got basically kicked out of the White House from what we understand. Earlier in the day, Starmer, in line with European allies, reaffirmed his country's support for Ukraine and Zelensky. We stand with Ukraine for as long as it may take, Starmer told reporters at a press briefing alongside Zelensky, adding that Ukraine has full backing across the United Kingdom. Okay, so clearly the UK is still very supportive of Ukraine, even giving them more money to continue fighting this war against Russia and whatever needs they might acquire at this time for this war. So let's go ahead and jump on over to X now. And I got a couple things I can share with you over here. Okay, so from Max24, Macron said that he is working to improve relations between Ukraine and the US. I want to make it clear to the Americans that distancing itself from Ukraine is not in their interests. We all agree to make peace, but there can be no just and lasting peace when Ukraine is abandoned. So something that we reported to you guys this morning, that the UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer allegedly had pulled Trump and Zelensky together, probably in a phone call or something, and he tried to restore some relations and try to create some peace amongst the two of them. Well, now apparently also the French president trying to do the same. Okay, so he's coming out also trying to restore relations, and he realizes how important it is to have U.S. relations in a good standing with Ukraine, and they're trying to do that apparently as well. Okay, so that's big news coming out from Emmanuel Macron today. Now, also from ViceGrad24 breaking, Macron says Europe may decide to provide Ukraine with hundreds of billions of euros at its emergency meeting on Ukraine on March 6th. Okay, this is absolutely huge. This is something that we heard a lot of over the last week. There was probably 3 to 5 different posts that I showed you guys talking about this. Just so many different aid packages being announced, many of them in the billions, okay? And we had one as high as 700 billion euros coming from the foreign minister from Germany, Annalena Baerbock. She came out and announced that just probably about 3 or 4 days ago, I want to say. We talked a lot about that. That's absolutely huge, and I would not be surprised over the next week we start to hear of huge aid packages being supported or announced, by European nations for Ukraine. And, regardless of whether they produce a lot of weaponry or not, we did also hear over the last week that the U.S. was open to Europe possibly buying weapons from the U.S. for Ukraine if need be. So is the EU going to now step up and start heavily supporting this war for Ukraine? This looks like this is going to be the next thing happening here very soon. And the US is probably going to pull their support from Ukraine entirely in terms of just writing a blank check and giving it over to Ukraine. So it looks like Ukraine could possibly be secured through EU funding here very soon, especially if they end up announcing, let's say, 300 or more billion dollars for Ukraine. And imagine also at some point if these frozen Russian assets get given over to Ukraine as well. I mean, this is a lot of money sitting around that could be used for Ukraine to fund this war and potentially help them win this fight at some point in the future. Okay, so this is just huge news, guys. Just want to give you some updates coming out from all this money that's going to be given to Ukraine here very soon. So let me know what you think about all these details down below. That's going to be it for today's update. If you got something out of this, please smash that like button. Also, if you enjoy my content, please consider subscribing down below. Hit the notification bell. That way YouTube can notify you. And with that, hope you all have a great day. Everybody take care and God bless. And we'll see you in the next one.